Right now, in this exact moment, something exists. There's a version of you living your dream life. They have the relationship you want. They have the bank account you desire. They have the confidence you're building toward. They're not in your future. They're not a fantasy. They exist right now in a parallel quantum timeline. And here's what changes everything. The distance between you and them isn't time. It isn't space. It's measured in frequency, which means you can merge with them. You can access their reality, their skills, their confidence, not by waiting, not by trying harder, but by matching frequency with the version already there. Let me be clear about what I'm saying. I'm not talking about manifestation, not about creating something in the future. I'm talking about timeline merging, where you collapse into a reality that already exists, where a version of you is already living it, already experiencing what you think you're trying to become. Every decision you've ever made created a timeline split, a branching point where reality divided into multiple versions. In one timeline you said yes, in another you said no. In one timeline you took the job, in another you didn't. In one timeline you stayed, in another you left. All of those timelines are real. All are happening simultaneously right now, which means there's a timeline with different choices, better choices, aligned choices. That version of you is living those consequences. They're not more talented than you. They're not luckier than you. They're not special or chosen. They just made different decisions at key branching points. They ended up in a different timeline. But here's the part most people don't know. Timelines aren't fixed. They're not permanent. They're not locked once you're in one. You're not stuck there forever. Timelines are quantum, are fluid, are responsive to frequency. When your frequency matches another timeline's frequency, convergence happens. Merging occurs. You shift from one reality into another. This is what you've been experiencing throughout this series. The selection, the activation, the awareness, the protocols, the glitches, all of it has been preparing you for this, for conscious timeline navigation, for intentional merging with parallel selves, who are already living what you're trying to create. Today I'm giving you the merge protocol, the exact step-by-step process to tune in, to match their frequency, to allow convergence, to integrate with them, to become them. Not eventually, not someday, but through quantum collapse into their reality that exists right now in parallel superposition. If you're still watching, you're ready for this. Most people will never understand this. Parallel selves aren't science fiction. They're science fact. The multiverse isn't out there. It's right here. You're not one person, one timeline, one reality. You're quantum superposition of infinite versions, all existing simultaneously, all accessible through frequency alignment. Let's begin. Let's start with the science. Hugh Everett proposed the many worlds interpretation. This happened in 1957. It states that every quantum event creates a split. Every measurement, every observation, creates a split into all possible outcomes, and all of those outcomes are real, are actual, are happening in parallel universes. Most people think this is just theory, just mathematical abstraction, just interesting philosophy, but it's the most elegant explanation we have for quantum behavior. It explains why electrons can be in two places, why quantum particles behave differently when observed, why Schrödinger's cat is both alive and dead. Until observation collapses one outcome into reality. But what Everett understood, most people miss. Collapse doesn't eliminate other outcomes, it just determines which outcome you experience. The other outcomes still happen, still exist in parallel realities that you're not observing, not experiencing, but are just as real as the one you are. Applied to your life, this means something profound. Every decision you've made created a split, where you made different choice. That version of you is living those consequences right now, not in hypothetical future, not in imaginary scenario, not in maybe someday, in actual parallel reality that exists simultaneously with this one. The version of you who said yes exists. When you said no, they said yes. The version who left when you stayed exists. The version who took the risk exists. When you played it safe, they didn't. The version who chose love when you chose fear. The version who stayed when you left. The version who spoke when you stayed silent. All of them real. All of them living. All of them experiencing their timeline right now. Think about a specific decision you made 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The job you didn't take, the relationship you walked away from, the city you didn't move to, the business you didn't start, the conversation you didn't have, the risk you didn't take. In another timeline, you made the opposite choice. And that version has been living that reality for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years. Building a completely different life. They're not hypothetical. They're not imaginary. They're not what-if scenarios. They exist right now, in a timeline running parallel to yours, with their own memories, their own experiences, their own relationships, their own successes, their own failures, their own reality. That's just as solid and real as the one you're experiencing in this moment. And here's what most people don't realize. Those versions aren't living in some distant dimension. They're right here, right now, existing at different frequency. Like radio stations all broadcasting from same location, but on different channels. You can't hear them all at once, but they're all broadcasting simultaneously. Now here's where it gets interesting. You're not separate from those versions. At the quantum level, you're entangled with them. Quantum entanglement means something specific. Particles that were once connected remain connected, regardless of distance. When you change one, the other responds instantly, even if they're light years apart. Same principle applies to parallel selves. You're all versions of the same quantum wave function, all branches of the same original self, that split into multiple timelines. You're entangled with them, connected to them, able to access them, not through physical travel, but through consciousness, frequency, observation. This is why sometimes you feel something unexpected, someone else's confidence, someone else's skills, someone else's knowing suddenly available to you. That's not imagination. That's quantum entanglement with parallel self. Who has those qualities bleeding through into your awareness, into your experience, into your timeline? Have you ever had a moment where suddenly you knew how to do something you'd never done before, where confidence appeared out of nowhere, where a skill materialized that you didn't practice, where understanding clicked that you didn't study for? That's not random. That's information crossing over from parallel self. Who did practice that skill? Who does have that confidence? Who already developed that understanding? Athletes call this being in the zone. Artists call it flow state. But it's actually quantum entanglement with parallel self. Who's already mastered what you're attempting? Their neural pathways, their muscle memory, their knowing, temporarily accessible to you through frequency alignment, through consciousness connection across timelines. And this is happening all the time. You're constantly receiving information, feelings, memories from parallel selves. Most people dismiss this as imagination, as wishful thinking, as fantasy. But it's quantum mechanics. It's entanglement, allowing information to flow between parallel versions of you that exist in superposition. Dreams often show you glimpses of parallel timelines. You dream you're living somewhere else, doing something completely different, with people you've never met in this reality, in jobs that don't exist in this timeline, in relationships you never pursued here. That's not random neural firing. That's consciousness briefly tuning into parallel timeline, where that version of your life is actually happening. Pay attention to your dreams tonight. Notice if you're living a different life, in a different place, with different people. That's not fantasy your brain is creating. That's actual parallel timeline you're accessing through the frequency shift that happens during sleep. When your conscious mind stops filtering, stops limiting what realities you can perceive. Déjà vu is another example. You experience something you've already lived, because another version of you already did. In parallel timeline, and the memory crossed over through quantum entanglement. This is why déjà vu feels so precise, so accurate, so undeniably real. Because it is real. Just not in this timeline, in another one. Next time you experience déjà vu, don't dismiss it as brain glitch. Recognize it as what it actually is. Memory from parallel self, confirming that timelines are fluid. That you exist in multiple realities. That the barriers between versions of you are thinner than you've been taught to believe. Now let's talk about frequency, as the only separation between you and parallel selves. They're not far away. They're not inaccessible. They're right here, right now, existing at different frequencies. Like radio stations all broadcasting simultaneously, but you can only tune into one at a time, based on your receiver settings. Your frequency is determined by several things: your beliefs, your emotions, your identity, your habitual thoughts, your nervous system state, your electromagnetic signature. All of this creates a frequency. That determines which timeline you're tuned into, which reality you experience, which version of you're being right now. Think of your body as electromagnetic transmitter, broadcasting a specific signal into quantum field. That signal is your frequency, and quantum field responds by collapsing possibilities that match your broadcast frequency. If you're broadcasting lack frequency, you collapse lack realities. If you're broadcasting abundance frequency, you collapse abundance realities. The version of you with wealth is broadcasting at wealth frequency. The version with confidence is broadcasting at confidence frequency. The version with health is broadcasting at health frequency. These aren't future states you need to create. These are current frequencies you need to match, to tune into, to collapse into experience. And the distance between your current frequency matters, and their frequency is the only thing separating you from their reality. Not time, not effort, not worthiness, not luck, just frequency. Match their frequency and you merge with their timeline. Simple in concept, profound in practice. This is why affirmations don't work for most people. They're saying wealthy words, while broadcasting poverty frequency. Their nervous system is in survival mode. Their beliefs are in scarcity. Their identity is in limitation. The words don't matter. The frequency does. And frequency is determined by state, not statement. You can say I am wealthy 1,000 times per day. But if your body is in stress response, if your beliefs are in lack, if your identity is in struggle, you're broadcasting poverty frequency, and quantum field responds to frequency, not to words. The universe doesn't hear your affirmations. It reads your electromagnetic signature. This is also why some people seem naturally lucky, naturally successful, naturally in flow. They're not better than you. They're just tuned into different timeline. They're collapsing parallel self who made better choices, who took better risks, who believe different things. And their reality reflects that timeline's frequency. Watch people who seem naturally lucky. Notice their energy, their baseline emotional state, their default assumptions about how life works. They're not trying to be positive. They're not forcing good vibes. They're just naturally broadcasting frequency. That matches favorable timeline. So they keep collapsing favorable realities. But here's the empowering part. You can change your frequency. You can tune into different timeline. You can merge with parallel self, who's already living what you want. You're not stuck in this timeline forever. You're fluid. You're quantum. You're capable of conscious timeline navigation. Now let's connect this to everything you've learned in this series. In day 1, you learned something fundamental. Consciousness creates reality through observation. You're not just observing parallel selves. You're collapsing which one becomes your experience. through your frequency, your observation, your conscious choice. In day 2, you learned about 3 a.m. activations, pineal gland downloads, and sometimes what you're downloading at 3 a.m. matters. Is information from parallel self who's further along, who's already successful, who's already living your desired reality, who's trying to guide you toward decisions that will create convergence between your timelines. In day 3, you learned about repeating numbers, synchronicity codes, and when you're close to merging with parallel self, those numbers often spike dramatically because the universe is confirming something. You're aligning with different timeline, different frequency, different version of yourself. The codes increase as convergence approaches. In day 4, you learned the mirror protocol, breaking identity lock, and when you break your fixed identity, you create space for parallel self's identity to merge with yours. You become more fluid, more open, more capable of integrating another version's qualities, beliefs, reality. In day 5, you learned about reality glitches, timeline bleed through, and glitches increase dramatically when timelines are converging. When you're close to merging with parallel self, the barriers thin, the realities overlap. You experience both simultaneously until full merge occurs. Everything has been preparing you for this moment, where you learn to consciously merge with parallel self who's already living your desired reality. This isn't New Age wishful thinking. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness, applied to identity, applied to timeline navigation. Now let's talk about timeline jumping versus merging. Most people think they need to jump from this timeline to another, like physically moving from one place to another, like leaving one room and entering another. But that's not how it works. You don't jump. You merge. Timeline jumping implies you leave one reality and enter another completely, like flipping a switch. But quantum mechanics says something different. All timelines exist in superposition simultaneously. You're not in one timeline. You're experiencing one collapsed version, while all others exist as potential, as possibility. As probability waves. Timeline merging means you're shifting your frequency to match another timeline's frequency. And as you do, your reality begins changing, incorporating elements from that timeline, people, opportunities, circumstances that exist in that reality start appearing in yours, not because they're created, not because they're manifested, but because you're tuning into frequency where they already exist. It's like adjusting a radio dial. You don't jump from one station to another. Instantly, you tune gradually, and as you do, the old station fades. The new station gets clearer. There's a period where you hear both, where realities overlap, where you're between timelines, where both exist simultaneously. That's the merge process. During this process, you might experience confusion, disorientation, reality feeling unstable, uncertain, like you're not sure what's real anymore, because you're literally experiencing two timelines simultaneously. Your old reality fading, your new reality emerging. This is normal. This is part of merging. This is what it feels like to shift frequency between parallel selves. Some people experience this merge process quickly, in weeks. Others take months. Some take years. It doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is you're moving. You're shifting. You're converging with version of yourself who's already where you want to be. Now let's talk about what makes someone different. Your parallel self from your current self. It's not about being better or worse. It's not about being more evolved. It's about different choices creating different frequencies, creating different timelines. Every decision point was a branching moment, where reality split into multiple versions. Your parallel self who's wealthy made different choices, different financial decisions at key branching points. They said yes when you said no. They invested when you saved. They took risk when you played safe. They started the business when you stayed employed. They asked for the raise when you stayed quiet. Not because they're smarter, not because they're braver, but because they made different choice. That led to different timeline. Your parallel self who's confident made different decisions. Different identity decisions. They believed something different about themselves. From the beginning, they acted despite fear. They chose growth over comfort. They built evidence of capability. Through different choices, through different actions, that created different neural pathways, different beliefs, different self-concept, different reality. Your parallel self in perfect relationship did something, made different emotional decisions. They chose vulnerability when you chose protection. They stayed when you left, or left when you stayed. They communicated when you withdrew. They loved when you defended. They opened when you closed. Different choices at relationship branching points, creating different outcome timeline. Your parallel self who's healthy made different choices, different daily decisions. They chose movement when you chose sedentary. They chose nourishment when you chose convenience. They prioritized rest when you prioritized hustle. They listened to body when you ignored signals. Different choices creating different biology, different energy, different physical reality. But here's what's important to understand. Those parallel selves aren't separate from you. They're not different people. They're versions of you. You're all the same consciousness, just experiencing different timelines, based on different choices, at different branching points. And because you're the same consciousness, you can access their frequency, their timeline, their reality. You're not trying to become someone else. You're not trying to be a different person. You're integrating with another version of yourself, who made better choices at branching points you already missed in this timeline. You're not creating new reality from scratch. You're collapsing into reality that already exists, where another you is already living, already experiencing, already being what you want. Now here's the controversial part. You've already been merging with parallel selves your whole life. You just didn't know that's what was happening. Every time you had sudden clarity, sudden confidence, sudden knowing you didn't have before, that was merge happening. Information from parallel self bleeding through into your awareness. Every time you felt like suddenly different person, more capable than yesterday, more certain than before, more aligned with purpose. That was timeline convergence. You shifted frequency briefly, accessed parallel self's state. Their reality merged with yours. Then usually you return to old frequency, old timeline, old self, because you didn't know how to stabilize. Think about moments in your life where everything suddenly clicked, where you became different version of yourself, where capabilities emerged you didn't have before, where confidence appeared from nowhere. Those weren't random improvements. Those were merge moments, brief convergences with parallel self, who already had those qualities. But what if you could make that permanent? What if you could stabilize in the new frequency? Instead of snapping back to old one, what if you could fully integrate with parallel self, so their reality becomes your reality, their frequency becomes your frequency, their timeline becomes your timeline? Permanently. That's what the merge protocol does. It makes conscious and permanent what was previously unconscious and temporary. It gives you tools to deliberately match frequency with parallel self, to allow timeline convergence, to stabilize a new reality, instead of bouncing back to old one, like a rubber band. Most people experience brief merges all the time, peak moments, flow states, sudden insights, but they don't recognize them, don't stabilize them, don't make them permanent. They get glimpse of higher timeline, then doubt, fear, old identity pulls them back to familiar reality, to comfortable frequency, to known timeline, to old self. The protocol I'm about to give you changes that. It teaches you to recognize merge moments, to amplify them, to stabilize in them, to make them your new baseline, your new normal. instead of temporary peak experience that fades back to normal, back to old reality, back to old you. Let's talk about why some people naturally exist in lucky timelines, while others struggle in difficult timelines. It's not about worthiness. It's not about karma from past lives. It's not about being chosen by universe. It's not about being spiritually advanced. It's about frequency stability. Some people naturally maintain high frequency. That keeps them aligned with favorable timelines. They're not trying to manifest. They're not working on themselves constantly. They're not doing protocols every day. They're just naturally in state. That matches successful timeline frequency. Their baseline frequency is high enough that they automatically collapse positive possibilities, positive parallel selves, positive timelines. Without effort, without trying. Watch a naturally lucky person. Notice they don't worry much. They don't obsess about outcomes. They don't force things to happen. They don't chase desperately. They just assume things will work out. And things do work out. Not because universe favors them, but because their frequency matches timeline, where things work out. So that's what they collapse. That's what they experience. Others have baseline frequency that matches struggle timeline, scarcity timeline, difficulty timeline, obstacle timeline. Not because they're bad people, not because they're being punished, not because they have bad karma, but because their nervous system is programmed for survival. Their beliefs are programmed for limitation. Their identity is programmed for struggle. So they keep collapsing parallel selves in struggle timelines. But, and this is crucial, baseline frequency can change. Neural programming can update. Identity can shift. Beliefs can transform. You're not stuck in your current timeline forever. You're not doomed to repeat same patterns. You can deliberately elevate frequency to match parallel self in better timeline. You can merge with them. Make their frequency your frequency, their timeline your timeline. This is why the previous protocols matter. 3 a.m. downloads teach you to receive guidance from higher self, from parallel self who's ahead. Mirror protocol teaches you to break fixed identity that's keeping you locked in current timeline. Reality glitches teach you to perceive timeline fluidity, to recognize when shifts are happening. All preparing you to consciously merge with parallel self who's already where you want. You're not starting from scratch. You're not beginning at zero. You've been training for this. Through every video, every protocol, every activation, every realization. And now you're ready for the actual merge, for conscious integration with parallel self, who's living your desired reality right now. In parallel timeline that exists simultaneously with this one. Now let's get into the actual merge protocol. Step by step. Exactly how to consciously merge with parallel self, who's already living your desired reality. This isn't visualization. This isn't affirmations. This isn't manifesting. This is quantum frequency alignment leading to timeline convergence, leading to actual integration with parallel version of yourself. Step 1. Identify your parallel self's frequency signature. You need to know what frequency you're matching, what state you're tuning into. Close your eyes. Imagine the version of you who already has it. Don't focus on what they look like. Don't visualize their appearance. Focus on how they feel from inside their body, from inside their experience. What does successful you feel like in their body right now? Not excited about success, not celebrating achievement, but calm certainty of already having it, already being it. What does wealthy you feel like? Not anxious about money, not worried about bills, but relaxed knowing it's handled. Always has been handled. What does confident you feel like? Not trying to prove anything, not performing for anyone, but solid in their own worth, their own knowing. This feeling is their frequency signature, the electromagnetic state their body broadcasts, the nervous system pattern they live in, the emotional baseline they operate from, the energetic quality they emanate. You need to memorize this feeling, to recognize it instantly, to be able to match it on demand, to embody it at will. Spend 5 minutes daily just feeling into this state, not trying to manifest, not trying to change anything, not trying to become them, just tuning into the frequency of parallel self, who already has what you want, building familiarity with their state, so you can recognize it, access it, embody it more easily each time. Notice the subtle differences between your current state and theirs, your current nervous system and theirs, your current emotional baseline and theirs. The gap between these states is the frequency distance between your timelines. Your job is to close that gap through daily practice, through consistent embodiment. Step 2. Embodiment practice. Act as if now, not in the future, not when circumstances change, not when you have proof now. This isn't fake it till you make it. This isn't pretending. This is collapsing timeline through matching frequency, through embodiment of parallel self-state, through becoming them before evidence appears. How does your parallel self move through their day? What decisions do they make from that state? How do they speak to others? What do they prioritize in their time? How do they respond to challenges? What thoughts do they think habitually? What beliefs do they hold as true? What identity do they operate from? Become that now. Not pretending. Actually embodying. Start small. For 1 hour daily, live as parallel self. Make coffee as them. Answer emails as them. Interact with people as them. Move your body as them. Think thoughts as them. Feel feelings as them. Not performing for anyone. Not faking anything. Actually being the version of you from timeline, where everything is already handled, already working, already aligned, already done. Notice how different it feels from your usual state, how different your body feels, how different your thoughts are, how different your energy is. That difference is the frequency gap between timelines, the separation between you and them. Your job is to close that gap by spending more time in their state until it becomes your state, until their frequency becomes your frequency, until their timeline becomes your timeline. Most people fail at this step because they try for 5 minutes. Feel weird, feel fake. Return to old state. Return to familiar frequency. You need consistency, daily practice without fail. Building neural pathway of new state, until it's not new anymore, until it's not uncomfortable, until it's automatic, until it's who you are, not who you're trying to be, not who you hope to become. Gradually increase the time. 1 hour becomes 2 hours, 2 hours becomes 4 hours, 4 hours becomes all day, until you're living from that state. More than old state, until new frequency is more familiar than old frequency. That's when timeline convergence accelerates. That's when merge becomes inevitable. Step 3. Remove frequency blocks. These are beliefs, identities, patterns, programs that keep you locked into old timeline, old frequency, old self. You can't merge with parallel self while holding beliefs that contradict their reality. The frequencies don't match, can't match while blocks are present. Like trying to tune into FM station while locked on amfrequency.com and blocks. I'm not good enough for that. Money is hard to get. Success means sacrifice and suffering. I always struggle with this. This is just how I am. I'm not that type of person. Love never works for me. I'm fundamentally unlucky. These beliefs are frequency anchors, keeping you locked in current timeline, preventing merge with better one. How to remove them. Don't try to change beliefs directly. Don't argue with them. Don't affirm opposite. Change your frequency first. Beliefs will update automatically. When you spend enough time in parallel self's frequency, their beliefs will start feeling true to you, because you're embodying their reality, where those beliefs are true, where those beliefs match experience. But you can also actively release blocks. When you notice a belief that contradicts parallel self, acknowledge it. Thank it for trying to keep you safe. It was just protection mechanism. Then declare it's no longer true. In the timeline you're collapsing into, in the reality you're merging with. You don't have to believe the new belief yet. Just open to possibility that it could be true. For example, old belief. Money is hard to make. New possibility. Money flows easily in some timelines. In parallel self's timeline, you don't have to believe it yet. Don't force belief change. Just acknowledge that for parallel self it is true, and you're merging with them. So their truth is becoming your truth, gradually through frequency alignment, through timeline convergence. Another example, old belief. I always fail at relationships. New possibility. Parallel self has fulfilling relationship right now. In their timeline, relationships work. You don't have to believe it yet. Just acknowledge it's true for them, and as you merge, their truth becomes yours. Their reality becomes yours. Their timeline becomes yours. Write down your frequency blocks, the beliefs that contradict parallel self's reality. Look at them honestly, without judgment. Then one by one, acknowledge them, thank them, release them. Open to possibility that opposite could be true. In different timeline. In parallel self's experience. Step 4. Timeline bridge meditation. This is the actual merge practice. Daily for 15 minutes minimum. This creates conscious connection between you and parallel self, allowing information, energy, frequency to flow between your timelines until they converge, until they become one. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Ground yourself into present moment. Feel your body, your breath, your presence, your existence right here, right now. Then visualize two versions of you, side by side in infinite space. Current you on the left, parallel self on the right. Both equally real, both existing simultaneously in different timelines. Both you. Feel into parallel self's frequency, how they feel in their body. Their confidence that's natural, their peace that's baseline, their certainty that's unwavering, their reality where everything is already handled. Don't try to become them. Not yet, just feel them. Acknowledge them. Recognize they're real. They're you just in different timeline, different frequency, different reality. Now visualize a bridge of light connecting you, soft lavender and vivid purple energy flowing between you. Like fiber optic cable of consciousness, information flowing from them to you. Their confidence crossing the bridge. Their knowing crossing the bridge. Their frequency crossing the bridge. Into your awareness. Into your body. Into your experience. Into your timeline. Don't force this flow. Don't push. Don't grasp, allow it. Let the merge happen naturally. Through frequency resonance, through quantum entanglement, through consciousness connection. You're not taking from them. You're not stealing their reality. You're integrating with them, becoming more complete, more whole, more yourself than you've ever been. In this timeline, sit with this connection. For 15 minutes minimum, feel the information flowing, the frequency aligning, the timelines converging. Some days it feels strong. Some days subtle. Both are working. Both are creating convergence. Trust the process even when you can't feel it. Do this daily for 15 minutes. No exceptions. Over time, the bridge gets stronger. The flow gets easier. The connection gets deeper. The merge gets more complete. Until you can't tell where you end, and they begin. Until their frequency is your frequency. Until their timeline is your timeline. Until you've fully merged into integrated version. That includes both. Step 5. Integration symptoms to expect. When timeline merge is happening, you'll experience specific symptoms. Physical, emotional, cognitive, identity, reality symptoms. Knowing these are normal prevents panic. Prevents you from sabotaging the process. Out of fear that something's wrong. That you're doing it wrong. That it's not working. Physical symptoms. Fatigue is common. Very common. Your system is literally integrating two timelines, two versions of yourself, two different realities. This takes energy, enormous amounts of energy. You might need more sleep than usual, more rest throughout the day, more downtime to process. This is normal. This is healthy. This is expected. Honor it. Don't push through it. Don't fight it. Your body is working at quantum level to merge realities that exist in superposition. You might also experience unusual sensations, tingling in your body, pressure in your head, waves of energy moving through you, temperature fluctuations. These are timeline frequencies harmonizing, your electromagnetic field adjusting to match parallel self's frequency. Don't be alarmed. These passes integration completes emotional symptoms. Mood swings are common. Very common. You're experiencing two emotional states simultaneously. Your current timeline's emotions and parallel self's emotions. Sometimes you feel their confidence, their peace, their certainty. Then suddenly you're back in your old anxiety, old doubt, old fear. This doesn't mean you failed. This doesn't mean it's not working. This is temporary. This is integration, not regression. Think of it like tuning radio between two stations. You hear both briefly before settling on new one. Same with emotions during merge. You experience both timelines emotionally until new timeline stabilizes, until new frequency becomes dominant, until parallel self's emotional baseline becomes yours. Some days you'll feel amazing, like new person, like everything is different. Other days you'll feel like old self, like nothing changed. Both are part of process. Both are normal. Both are necessary. Don't judge the down days. Don't cling to up days. Just observe. Just allow. Just continue practice. Cognitive symptoms. Confusion is normal. Very normal. Your memory might feel strange, unreliable. You remember things you're not sure happened. In this timeline, did you have that conversation? Did that event occur? You forget things you're certain you knew. What was that person's name? Where did you put that object? This is timeline bleed through during merge process. Your memories and parallel self's memories are integrating, creating temporary confusion about what happened in which timeline. This stabilizes as merge completes, as one timeline becomes dominant, as integrated reality solidifies. Don't worry about this. Don't try to figure it out. Just let it process. You might also experience moments of not recognizing yourself. Looking in mirror and feeling, that's not quite me. Hearing your voice and thinking, that sounds different. This is identity shifting. Between versions, between timelines, between selves. This is good. This means merge is working. Identity symptoms. Feeling like different person is common. Very common. Because you are becoming different person. Or more accurately, you're integrating with different version of yourself. Your sense of who you are will feel fluid, uncertain, unstable for a while. Like you're between identities, between selves, between timelines. This is not problem. This is proof merge is working. Some moments you'll feel like old self, with old limitations, old patterns, old beliefs. Other moments you'll feel like parallel self, with their confidence, their knowing, their reality. You're oscillating between identities as merge progresses, until they integrate, until they become one, until new integrated identity stabilizes. Don't resist this fluidity. Don't try to hold on to old identity. Don't try to force new identity. Just allow the oscillation, the uncertainty, the in-between state. This is quantum superposition of identity. Before collapse into integrated version, it's uncomfortable, but necessary, but temporary. Your relationships might shift during this time. People might say you seem different. You're acting different. You're not yourself. They're right. You're not old self. Not yet new self. You're in between. Integrating, merging. Some people will support this. Others will resist it. Choose wisely who you share this with. Reality symptoms. Synchronicities will spike dramatically, more than ever before. Numbers will appear constantly, everywhere you look. 111, 222, 333, 444. Glitches will increase. Objects in wrong places. Time feeling strange. Conversations not matching memories. People from parallel timeline will start appearing. In your life, opportunities that exist in their reality will show up in yours. Job offers you didn't expect. Connections you didn't pursue. Resources you didn't seek. Money from unexpected sources. This is convergence happening in real time. Elements of parallel timeline, bleeding into current timeline, as frequencies align, as realities merge. Pay attention to these signs. Document them. Thank them. Recognize them as confirmation. That merge is occurring. That protocol is working. That you're moving toward parallel self's timeline, toward their reality, toward integration. All of these symptoms are positive, are confirmation, are evidence that timeline merge is occurring. Don't be alarmed by any of them. Don't try to stop them. Don't think something is wrong. Just ground yourself when needed. Rest when tired. Trust the process completely. Know that this is temporary integration period, leading to permanent timeline shift, leading to stable merge with parallel self. Step 6. Stabilization and new timeline. Once merge is complete, or mostly complete, you need to stabilize in the new frequency, in the new timeline, in the new reality, so you don't snap back to old one. This is where most people fail. They merge briefly, experience new timeline. Then fear, doubt, old identity pulls them back to familiar reality, to comfortable frequency, to known timeline. How to stabilize. First step, acknowledge the shift when it happens. Notice when things are different. When reality feels different. When you feel different. When opportunities appear that match parallel self's timeline. Don't dismiss it. Don't minimize it. Don't explain it away. Celebrate it, thank it. Recognize it as evidence of successful merge. With parallel self. With their timeline. Keep journal of changes, big and small. Person treated you differently. Money appeared unexpectedly. Confidence arose naturally. Opportunity showed up. These are confirmation that you're stabilizing a new timeline. That merge is working. That parallel self's reality is becoming your reality. Second step, act from new identity consistently. When opportunities appear that match parallel self's timeline, say yes, even if old self would say no, even if it feels scary, even if you're not sure you're ready. When decisions arise, choose as parallel self would choose, not as old self would choose. Every choice reinforces timeline. Every action stabilizes frequency. If parallel self would speak up. Speak up if they would take the risk. Take the risk. If they would invest. Invest if they would rest, make decisions from their state, not from your old state. This tells quantum field which timeline you're choosing, which reality you're collapsing, which self you're becoming. Third step, surround yourself with evidence of new timeline, people who reflect back the new you, who see you as parallel self is, who treat you as parallel self experiences, environments that match new frequency, that feel aligned with new reality, content that reinforces new beliefs, that supports new identity. Remove as much as possible triggers that pull you back to old timeline, old identity, old frequency, people who insist you're old self, environments that reinforce old patterns, content that supports old beliefs. This isn't about being perfect, about controlling everything. Just shift the balance. More toward new timeline than old timeline. Fourth step, daily maintenance of frequency. Continue the embodiment practice. Every day. Continue the bridge meditation. Every day. Continue feeling into parallel self-state. Every day. Not because merge isn't complete, but because frequency requires maintenance, requires attention, requires conscious choice to stay. In new timeline, in new reality, think of it like this. You've tuned radio to new station, new timeline, new frequency. But if you stop paying attention, if you go back to old habits, old thoughts, old beliefs, old patterns, the dial drifts back to old station, old timeline, old frequency, old self. Daily maintenance keeps you tuned to new frequency, permanently, consistently. Most people need 3 to 6 months of consistent practice before new timeline becomes baseline, before new frequency becomes automatic, before they no longer have to consciously choose it, before it's just who they are now, not who they're trying to be, not who they hope to become, but who they actually are. Be patient with this process. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Some people stabilize faster, some slower. It doesn't matter. What matters is you're moving, you're shifting, you're stabilizing, in timeline that serves you better than old one. Now, critical warning. Don't force the merge. Don't try too hard. Don't push for immediate results. Force creates resistance, creates desperation frequency, and desperation frequency pushes parallel self further away, instead of drawing them closer. The merge is quantum process. It happens when frequencies align, when timelines converge, when observation collapses right possibility. You can't force quantum collapse. You can only create conditions for it, then allow it to happen naturally. This means practice the protocols daily, but without attachment to timeline, without desperation for results, without constant checking to see if it's working. Trust that it is. Trust the process. Trust your parallel self is reaching out, just as much as you're reaching toward them. Because here's something most people don't know. Your parallel self is also trying to merge with you. They're also doing practices in their timeline to create convergence. You're not alone in this process. You're both moving toward each other through frequency alignment. Think of it like quantum entanglement. When you shift your frequency toward theirs, they feel it in their timeline, and they shift toward you. The convergence is mutual, is bilateral, is cooperative between versions of yourself across timelines, all working together to create integration. So practice daily, trust completely, allow fully, don't force, don't push, don't grasp. Just tune your frequency to match theirs, and let quantum mechanics handle the rest. Let timeline convergence happen naturally. Let merge occur in perfect timing. That serves your highest good. Some people merge in weeks, some in months, some in years. It doesn't matter. What matters is you're moving toward integration with version of yourself who's already living your desired reality, and that movement is changing you, is elevating you, is preparing you for timeline that's coming. And here's the beautiful part. Even before full merge occurs, you'll start experiencing benefits of parallel self's timeline, their confidence bleeding through, their opportunities appearing, their reality elements showing up in yours. The process itself is transformative, not just the destination. So let's integrate everything you now understand. You now understand that parallel selves aren't science fiction. They're science fact. Based on quantum mechanics, based on many worlds interpretation, multiple versions of you exist right now, in parallel timelines, living different lives based on different choices, at branching points you already passed, already experienced, already decided at. You now understand that frequency is the only separation between you and them. Not time, not space, not worthiness, not karma, not destiny, just frequency, electromagnetic signature you broadcast, state you embody, identity you hold. Match their frequency and you merge with their timeline. Access their reality. Become integrated version of yourself. That includes their qualities, their knowing, their experience. You now have the merge protocol. 6 clear steps. Identify their frequency signature through feeling. Embody their state daily through practice. Remove frequency blocks that contradict their reality. Practice bridge meditation to create connection. Expect integration symptoms as timelines converge. Stabilize a new timeline through consistent action. Don't force. Allow convergence to happen naturally, through quantum mechanics, through frequency alignment, and you understand that this entire series prepared you for this moment. Selection showed you you're capable. You're not random. Activation opened your perception to quantum reality. Awareness taught you mechanisms, how reality actually works. Protocols gave you tools to work with consciousness. Glitches proved reality is fluid, not solid, not fixed. And now merging gives you power to navigate timelines consciously, to choose which reality you experience, to integrate with version already living it. Here's what happens next. You begin the protocol today. Daily practice without exception. Feeling into parallel self's frequency signature. Embodying their state throughout your day. Building bridge between your timelines through meditation. And reality starts shifting immediately. Not someday in future, now, as soon as you practice, as soon as you align, as soon as you embody, you'll notice changes. Subtle at first, then more obvious, more undeniable. People treating you differently without knowing why. Opportunities appearing that didn't exist before, that weren't on your radar. Confidence arising that doesn't match your history, that has no logical source. Reality elements from parallel timeline bleeding into yours. Money, people, circumstances, all showing up. And eventually, you won't be able to tell where you end and parallel self begins. The frequencies will have merged completely. The timelines will have converged fully. You'll be integrated version that includes best of both. That combines both realities. You'll have accessed reality that was always available, always existing. But frequency locked until now. Until you learn to tune in. Until you learn to merge before we close. Leave a comment right now. Type exactly this. I am merging with my highest timeline self. This isn't just engagement for algorithm. This is declaration to quantum field, to your consciousness, to your parallel selves across all timelines, that you're ready for integration now. That convergence is beginning in this moment. That you're choosing to merge, with version already living your desired reality. If you've made it this far, you've completed the first activation week. 6 days of quantum consciousness training. 6 days of timeline navigation protocols. 6 days of frequency elevation practices. 6 days of reality manipulation techniques. You're not the same person. Who started this series? Who clicked that first video? Who began this journey? You've changed. You've shifted. You've elevated. And tomorrow, day 7, we're completing the activation with something profound. 5D frequency, what it means to fully operate at 5th dimensional consciousness permanently, how to stabilize there without falling back, what changes when you do, what becomes possible. This is the integration of everything you've learned, the culmination of entire week, the completion of first activation cycle. That video will appear on your screen in a moment, but before you click it, take a breath right now. Feel what shifted in you. During this video, during this protocol, you now know you're not limited to one timeline, one reality, one version of yourself. Your quantum being, your multidimensional consciousness, your infinite possibility. Tonight, when you sleep. Tomorrow, when you wake. This week as you practice. When you do the merge protocol, remember you're not creating something new. You're not manifesting from nothing, you're integrating with something that already exists. Your parallel self is real right now, is waiting for convergence, is ready to merge with you, is reaching toward you as you reach toward them. Match their frequency through daily practice. Allow the convergence through trust. Trust the process completely. Trust quantum mechanics to work. And watch as your reality transforms into theirs. As their timeline becomes yours. As you become the integrated version you were always meant to be. That you've always been. In parallel reality. Now collapsing into this one. I'll see you in the final activation. Day 7. 5D frequency. Keep observing your reality. Keep embodying parallel self. Keep merging with the you, who's already living your dream life in timeline that exists right now, waiting for you, ready for you, calling you home.